You see, a queen never competes because she already knows who she is. She doesn't wake up each morning needing the world to remind her of her worth. She carries it quietly inside her. The world might try to make her forget. Society might push her to compare. People might question her light. But she never lets it dim. Why? Because her worth isn't built on what she owns or how others see her. It comes from what she knows deep within. And when a woman understands her own value, competition loses all meaning. When you truly know your essence, you stop chasing validation. You stop measuring yourself through someone else's reflection. You stop trying to fit into spaces that make your spirit small. You begin to see that not everyone will notice your light. Not everyone will understand your heart. And not everyone is meant to walk beside you. And that's okay, because your purpose isn't to please anyone. It's to live honestly, fearlessly, and unapologetically as the person you were born to be. So many people spend their lives begging for approval, building their identity on other people's acceptance, waiting for someone to say, "You're enough." But a queen doesn't wait for that. She says it to herself every single day. She knows her scars don't make her less. They make her real. Her softness doesn't make her weak. It makes her powerful. Her confidence isn't arrogance, it's clarity. She understands that when she stands in her truth, she doesn't have to fight for attention. Her presence naturally speaks for her. The truth is, competition grows from insecurity. When you compare yourself to someone else, you're silently saying, "I'm not enough." But when you know your worth, you can celebrate others without feeling threatened. You can admire beauty without questioning your own. You can watch someone win and still feel at peace because their success doesn't take away from yours. The sky has room for every star, and the queen knows this. That's why she never tries to outshine anyone. She just shines. In a world that constantly demands you prove yourself. To be prettier, smarter, stronger, or more successful, it takes courage to say, "I'm enough as I am." That's what sets a queen apart. She isn't moved by trends, defined by opinions, or shaken by rejection. She is rooted in herself. Her energy speaks before her words do. She walks into a room with quiet confidence. Not because she thinks she's better, but because she's at peace with who she is. A queen doesn't chase what runs away. She attracts what's meant for her. She doesn't beg for a seat at someone else's table. She builds her own. She trusts that the right opportunities will find her when she's aligned with her purpose. So she focuses on growing, not comparing. On becoming, not competing. That's the real secret. Her power doesn't live in her crown. It lives in her calm. The moment you stop competing, something beautiful happens. Peace walks into your life. You stop wasting time proving your worth and start living it. You stop asking, "Am I as good as her?" and start saying, "I'm becoming the best version of me." That shift changes everything. Because when you stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable, when you stop explaining your vision to people who can't see it, you finally step into your power. A queen knows her value can't be negotiated. She doesn't lower her standards to be liked. She doesn't silence her truth to be accepted. She doesn't chase what doesn't see her. She knows that anything built on the need for validation will eventually fall apart. So instead of waiting to be chosen, she chooses herself every time. She knows real power comes from self-respect, from saying no when something doesn't feel right, from protecting her peace, and from walking away from anything that costs her dignity. When she looks in the mirror, she doesn't see someone trying to catch up. She sees someone rising, gracefully, patiently in her own time. She knows her journey is her own, and that's what makes it sacred. She trusts her timing, honors her growth, and believes that what's meant for her will never ask her to compete for it. That's what it means to reign. It's not about holding power over others. It's about having power over yourself. The strength to stay calm in chaos, kind in cruelty, and confident in uncertainty. To rule your own emotions, master your own mind, and walk through life with the quiet assurance that you are enough. So when others compete, she doesn't join the race. She watches, she smiles, and she keeps moving forward, because the moment she tries to prove herself, she's already forgotten who she is. And she refuses to forget. Her worth isn't up for debate. Her peace isn't for sale. Her energy isn't to be wasted on comparison. She knows that when you're aligned with who you truly are, no one can compete with you, because there's only one you. That's the beauty of her reign. It's effortless, calm, and timeless. That's why a queen never competes. She simply reigns. A queen doesn't lead from her ego. She leads with grace. Her strength doesn't shout. Her confidence doesn't need to announce itself. It's quiet, steady, and real. You can feel it when she enters a room. It's not arrogance, it's presence. It's not dominance, it's peace. Because she knows true power doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from mastering herself. When a queen speaks, she doesn't aim to impress. She doesn't need to. Her words carry weight because they come from understanding, not pride. She listens before she answers. She acts with intention, not impulse. She knows leadership isn't about being better. It's about living what you believe. Grace is her language, patience her strength, and wisdom her crown. When a woman still lives through her ego, she tries to win every argument, to be right every time, to have the last word. But a queen doesn't waste her energy that way. She knows not every battle needs her, not every opinion deserves her reaction, and not every challenge requires her response. She's selective, not out of pride, but out of peace. Because she has learned that her energy is sacred, and she won't give it away carelessly. Ego wants control. Grace seeks understanding. Ego divides. Grace connects. Ego shouts. Grace whispers. And in that whisper lies true power, the kind that calms storms instead of creating them, that lifts others instead of pushing them down. A queen understands that people who lead with loud egos are often the most unsure inside. They crave validation to feel seen. They chase attention to feel alive. But a queen doesn't. She already sees herself. She's already enough. Her leadership is gentle, yet it moves mountains. She doesn't demand respect. She earns it. People follow her not out of fear, but admiration, because she treats them with dignity. She leads from the heart, not from the throne. Her grace doesn't make her fragile. It makes her unstoppable. Because grace isn't weakness. It's strength wrapped in calm. It's power without aggression. Influence without force. When you lead with ego, you burn bridges. When you lead with grace, you build kingdoms. The queen knows every word, every action, every choice creates an energy around her. She chooses peace. Even when others attack her, she doesn't meet them at their level. She knows lowering herself means losing control. So she rises every time. She doesn't react, she responds. She doesn't fight, she flows. That's her true power. There's something magnetic about a woman who can stay calm when others fall apart, who can be kind in the face of cruelty, who forgives, not because she's weak, but because she values peace more than pride. That's the energy of a queen. She doesn't hold grudges, she holds lessons. She doesn't seek revenge, she seeks understanding. She knows what others do is their karma, and how she reacts is hers. Her ego might whisper, show them your power. But her grace answers, I already have. She doesn't need to prove her worth to those who can't see it. Their doubt doesn't change her truth. She understands that trying to convince someone of her value is like begging them to see what they're not ready to understand. And she doesn't beg. Her focus is forward. Her heart is centered. Her spirit is aligned. It takes a different kind of strength to stay graceful in a world that praises arrogance. It takes wisdom to stay composed when provoked. It takes power to walk away without a scene. That's what separates a queen from the rest. She reigns from within. Her peace is her power. Her calm is her crown. She knows people remember how you made them feel, not how loudly you spoke. The ego always wants to win, but the queen isn't playing that game. Her victory is inner peace. Her success is self-mastery. She doesn't compete for power. She is power, because grace gives her what ego never can, longevity. Ego burns fast and fades quick. Grace lasts. It leaves a legacy. It's remembered long after she's gone, not because she conquered others, but because she inspired them. In her kingdom, there's no need to shout to be heard. Her silence holds authority. Her stillness draws attention. She knows that calm can shake the world more than anger ever could. That's why she leads differently, not with pressure, but with poise. Not with ego, but with essence. The queen doesn't lead to control. She leads to bring peace. She knows that true power doesn't live in the crown on her head, but in the balance of her soul, because she has learned that the one who rules herself rules everything. And that's why a queen leads with grace. Because when you master your own energy, you never have to compete for control. You simply reign. A queen knows her peace is her throne. It's the source of her strength, the steady rhythm behind everything she does. She protects it not out of fear, but out of wisdom. She knows that the moment she lets chaos into her heart, she gives away her power. She protects her peace the way a queen protects her crown, not from the world, but from the parts of herself that want to react, to prove, to chase what doesn't serve her anymore. In a world that celebrates noise and endless competition, she chooses silence. While others rush to be noticed, she steps back and listens. She observes, reflects, and chooses her next move with calm and clarity. That's what makes her strong. Her ability to stay still when everything around her is shaking. Because peace isn't the absence of noise. It's the calm that stays even when the noise is loud. And that calm is her true power. When a queen guards her peace, it doesn't mean she cuts herself off. It means she chooses carefully what and who deserves her time and energy. Not every conversation needs an answer. Not every argument needs her presence. She's not afraid to walk away, not because she doesn't care, but because she's grown beyond the need to win small battles. She knows her energy is precious, and where she puts it shapes the life she creates. There was a time she might have reacted, defended herself, or tried to explain her worth to people who couldn't see it. But now she knows that explaining herself isn't her job anymore. Her peace matters more than proving her point. Her calm matters more than being understood. Because when she chooses peace, she chooses herself. And when she chooses herself, she reigns. Not everyone deserves access to her energy. Not every situation needs her involvement. She's learned that protecting her peace sometimes means disappointing others. But she's made peace with that too, because she's no longer living for approval. She's laid down the weight of other people's expectations. She no longer tries to fix what isn't hers to fix, and she doesn't chase closure in places that only bring chaos. She understands now that her peace is worth far more than the illusion of control. Sometimes the most powerful thing she can do is stay quiet, to let go instead of fight, to smile and move on. That silence isn't weakness, it's mastery. It's knowing that her response doesn't define her. Her peace does. She doesn't seek revenge. She doesn't hold grudges. She doesn't replay painful moments trying to make sense of them. She releases them, knowing that holding on only steals the present moment. Her peace isn't a luxury. It's her way of surviving. When her mind is still, her vision clears. She sees who's genuine, who's draining, and what's truly worth her time. She doesn't let negativity shape her mood or toxic energy linger around her. She clears her space, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, because she knows that what she allows in will eventually grow. And she only allows what brings her closer to peace, not chaos. There's a quiet strength in someone who refuses to be shaken by the world's noise. Someone who can smile through misunderstanding, stay kind in the face of aggression, and walk away without bitterness. That's the spirit of a queen. Her calmness surprises people because it's not what they expect. They don't understand how she stays so centered, but that's her secret. She doesn't let the outside world disturb her inner one. Peace doesn't mean she avoids challenges. It means she faces them differently. She doesn't panic when things fall apart. She trusts they're falling into place. She doesn't cling when something ends because she knows endings are just transitions. That's the wisdom that keeps her steady. Knowing every storm will pass, and she doesn't have to become the storm to survive it. To protect her peace, she sets boundaries, not walls but gates. She decides who and what gets to enter her world, and she does it with kindness, not anger. Boundaries aren't rejection, they're self-respect. She doesn't explain them endlessly. She simply lives them. Because a queen doesn't owe anyone an explanation for what keeps her soul balanced. She knows protecting her peace might make her seem distant sometimes, but she's not cold. She's preserving herself. She's learned that peace doesn't mean everything around her is perfect. It means imperfection no longer controls her center. She doesn't chase happiness anymore. She cultivates serenity, because happiness comes and goes, but peace comes from mastery, the mastery of self. When her peace is steady, she can love deeply without losing herself. She can lead without controlling. She can give without feeling drained. Her energy flows freely because it's not tangled in negativity. She moves with grace, thinks with clarity, speaks with honesty. And that kind of strength can't be taken away because it doesn't come from approval. It comes from within. So she doesn't let the world's noise rush her. She doesn't let others' chaos confuse her. She takes her time, listens to her intuition, and moves only when her spirit says it's right. Her peace leads her, protects her, defines her. Because the woman who guards her peace guards her power. And the queen who rules her inner world rules everything. A queen understands something many never do. Real power doesn't come from competing or defeating others. It comes from lifting them. She knows her light doesn't dim when she helps someone else shine. It grows. Because a true queen doesn't see other women as rivals. She sees them as reflections of the same strength that lives within her. She understands her reign isn't about standing above others. It's about standing beside them, inspiring them to rise too. You can always tell when someone is led by insecurity. They gossip, they compare, they tear others down to feel taller. But a queen doesn't play those games. She doesn't need to prove she's better. She already knows who she is. Her confidence isn't loud. It's steady, humble, and deeply rooted. When she sees another woman succeed, she doesn't feel threatened. She feels inspired because she knows that what's meant for her will always find her. And what belongs to someone else was never hers to begin with. There's something magnetic about a woman who celebrates others sincerely, who looks at someone else's success and says, "Beautiful, keep going." That's the kind of energy that builds empires, heals wounds, and changes communities. A queen doesn't rise by climbing over others. She rises by lifting them with her. And that's why her presence stays with people. She makes them feel seen, valued, capable. She doesn't take their light. She helps them find their own. Her strength isn't in comparison. It's in compassion. She knows every woman carries unseen battles, insecurities, losses, heartbreaks, doubts. So instead of judging, she understands. Instead of criticizing, she encourages. She's not afraid to give compliments, to share wisdom, to show support. Because she knows that giving doesn't make her smaller. It expands her. Her heart isn't limited, it's generous. She believes in collective strength, in the truth that we rise higher when we lift one another. A queen has no time for jealousy. She's too focused on building her peace, her dreams, her purpose. She doesn't waste her energy comparing paths because she knows no two journeys are the same. What someone achieves today might take her longer, but she's not discouraged. She's patient with her path, proud of her progress, and secure in her timing. That security gives her the freedom to celebrate others without resentment. She also knows that not everyone will return her kindness. Some will envy, some will gossip, some will misunderstand her heart. But she doesn't let that harden her. She doesn't let bitterness touch her grace, because her goal isn't to prove her goodness. It's to live it. She gives from a full heart, not for applause, not for recognition, but because that's who she is. Her kindness isn't a tactic. It's a reflection of her soul. And when others try to compete, she doesn't join in. She teaches through her peace. She shows that love, honesty, and empathy aren't weaknesses. They're the highest forms of strength. Real queens don't build thrones from others' broken pieces. They build bridges. They open doors. They use their power to empower. That's what sets her apart. She's not led by ego. She's led by empathy. She knows lifting others doesn't mean forgetting herself. It doesn't mean being a savior or losing boundaries. It means leading from abundance. Her kindness is steady. Her generosity is wise. She knows not everyone deserves her energy, but those who do will always feel her warmth. She gives without expectation, but never without awareness. She's learned that you can lift others and still protect your peace. That compassion and strength can live side by side beautifully. There's a special glow that comes from someone who truly wants others to win. It's not forced. It's not strategic. It's pure. It's the light of someone who's healed enough to stop seeing others as threats. That's what makes a queen's energy rare. She's whole. And wholeness doesn't compete. It creates. It multiplies love, confidence, and peace wherever it goes. She doesn't get lost in envy because she knows envy grows from a sense of lack, and she lacks nothing. Everything she needs already lives within her. The grace, the wisdom, the beauty, the vision. So when others rise, she doesn't feel threatened. She celebrates. She sees their success as proof that she can rise too. There's room for everyone at the top when you stop believing life is a competition. And she knows this so deeply, it's stitched into everything she does. Her reign isn't a symbol of power, it's a symbol of possibility. When people see her, they don't feel small, they feel inspired. Her very presence whispers, if I can do this with love, so can you? She turns success into a message, confidence into a mirror, strength into a light that guides. She doesn't create followers, she creates leaders. She doesn't leave behind admirers, she leaves behind believers. That's what real queens do. They don't just rule, they raise. And that's why a queen never tears others down. She lifts them up because she knows real queens fix each other's crowns quietly without announcing that they were ever crooked. A queen understands her power isn't shown by how tightly she holds on, but by how gracefully she lets go. Walking away isn't weakness, it's an act of self-respect. It's her quiet truth. She doesn't need to beg for what's already hers, and she doesn't need to fight to keep what's meant to stay. When something begins to drain her, when peace starts slipping away, she knows it's time to move on, not with anger, not with bitterness, but with calm understanding that not everything, or everyone, is meant to go with her into the next chapter. She knows not every connection, no matter how deep, is meant to last forever. Some people come to teach, some to test, some to awaken. And once the lesson is learned, she lets go. She's learned the difference between love and attachment. Love gives freedom, Attachment demands control. And a queen never begs for love that asks her to shrink, silence her truth, or trade away her dignity. Sometimes the kindest thing she can do for herself is to close a door, even when her heart still stands on the threshold. The world tells us to hold on, to fix, to keep trying harder. But she's learned that not everything broken needs repairing, and not every ending means failure. Sometimes letting go is the bravest act of faith. Faith in herself, in life, in what's still ahead. She doesn't chase closure anymore, because peace is the only closure she needs. She releases the need to explain, to justify, to be understood. She's found that silence can speak louder than 1,000 explanations. When she walks away, it's not because she's cold. It's because she's wise. She's learned that her soul can't thrive where it's constantly questioned or dimmed. She knows love shouldn't be begged for. Respect shouldn't need to be negotiated. And peace should never be the price of belonging. So she leaves quietly, with grace, not anger. She doesn't slam doors or throw stones. She simply reclaims her power and her peace. She doesn't announce her departure. Her absence speaks for itself. There's something profoundly beautiful about a woman who knows when to walk away. She doesn't stay where growth has stopped. She doesn't wait for someone to see her worth. She doesn't force love to fit where it no longer belongs, because she knows that sometimes losing people is how you find yourself again. Sometimes walking away isn't rejection. It's redirection. Life's way of clearing the path for what's meant to come. She knows real strength isn't about enduring everything. It's about knowing what's worth her energy. She knows when to give and when to stop giving, when to speak and when silence carries the truer message. She no longer waits for apologies that won't come. Instead, she finds her closure in acceptance. Acceptance that not everyone can meet her where she stands. Acceptance that love doesn't always mean staying. Acceptance that endings can be sacred too. When she leaves, she does it with gratitude. Gratitude for what it taught her, for the lessons that shaped her, for the strength that grew from her pain, for the clarity that rose from confusion. Because she knows every ending has led her closer to her truth. Every goodbye has created space for something more aligned, more real, more worthy of her. So she walks away not in defeat, but in quiet triumph. There's peace in trusting she doesn't need to control everything. She trusts life's timing. She trusts that what leaves makes space for what's meant to stay. She trusts that letting go isn't losing, it's creating room for something better. She no longer clings to what feels heavy. She doesn't try to rewrite what's already been written. She's learned the universe never takes without giving. Every ending carries the seed of a beginning. People often wonder how she can walk away so calmly. They mistake her silence for indifference. But it's not indifference, it's wisdom. She knows peace is more valuable than being right. Love should never demand suffering. And when you have to constantly fight for your place, that's not your throne. She doesn't burn bridges or wish harm on anyone. Her energy is too sacred for that. She lets go, trusting that her path will unfold exactly as it should. When she looks back, it's never with regret, but with love. Love for who she was. Love for what she's learned. Love for the strength it took to leave. Because walking away isn't losing, it's remembering. Remembering she has always been enough, even when others couldn't see it. Remembering her peace is priceless. Remembering she doesn't have to chase what's already hers by nature. Her worth, her grace, her power. That's why a queen knows when to walk away. Because her silence, her dignity, and her peace speak louder than her pain. A queen reigns not because of what she owns, but because of who she is. Her throne isn't made of gold or jewels. It's built within her. It's the quiet strength that comes from knowing herself deeply, standing firm in her truth, and staying grounded no matter what the world throws her way. She doesn't rule over others. She rules over her own mind, her emotions, her life. That's what makes her reign unshakable. Her power doesn't depend on validation or circumstance. It comes from within, from a place so rooted, no storm can move it. She's not driven to impress anyone. She doesn't wake up trying to prove her worth. She's already proven it to herself. She has faced her shadows, met her fears, and learned that the real battle is always within.